Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics. And recently I talked about how Wales would be the worst hit part of the UK when it came to missing out on EU development funds that the government promised to maintain. But guess what? They lied. Well, now it's the turn of the so-called Red Wall, the parts of the north of England, bits of the Midlands, who gave Boris Johnson his power in return for promises of riches. They are the latest to have those promises broken. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So it is a constantly perverse fact that the people who stand to be hurt the most by Brexit also supported it the most vocally. A report to the in the Independent highlighted how the poorest parts of England will be missing out on, what it called £1 billion of development money this year because of Brexit. But in reality, it's billions that we got from the EU across the whole UK. And it's not directly Brexit that's causing this, because we could have left the EU and Boris Johnson could have just provided those funds himself, as he promised to do. But that doesn't profit him, so he's not going to do it. What is being provided is a tiny fraction of what was promised, and I mean a tiny fraction. And I'm betting most of that is going to end up in the hands of those close to the Conservatives and will be of little to no benefit to the people themselves. We don't even know how insultingly small the funds will be in any particular area, just that the whole of the UK will be sharing a development pot of £220 million. The article pointed out that the North and the Midlands of England alone used to get £500 million just from this one source of EU funding alone. So the government is stumping up less than half of what those regions got from a single source of EU funding. And that money is to be shared across the entire UK. But because we don't know how that money will be shared out, in order to draw a real comparison, what I would do is look at it like this. Boris Johnson's government have said that the entire UK is going to get £220 million in development funds. So what did the EU use to provide the entire UK? Well, in 2019, it was about £5 billion. That was our last full year of membership. It had been more in previous years. You can see behind me, hopefully, if I remember to put it there, what you can get from the House of Commons library, actually showing it to be more than that in the previous years. The money is allocated according to need. So the government promised to cover EU development funds after Brexit. What they're actually doing is covering less than 5% of those development funds. £220 million to cover about £5 billion. Now at this point, those who voted for Brexit, whether it was in 2016 referendum, although some of those will have changed their mind since anyway, or more specifically the 2019 general election, because those are the people who are really responsible for this Brexit. In 2016, people were just voting for leaving the EU. It wasn't for voting for this specific Brexit. But by 2019, you knew what you were voting for. And I think those people need to ask themselves a question. If they believed the Brexiteers when they said that we pay a load of money to the EU and actually we should just keep that and spend it ourselves on our main priorities, how do they justify this? More to the point, where do they think the money's going? It's not going to the NHS and it's not going on levelling up. Actually, if you consider those two promises, people really should have smelled a rat much sooner. Because think about it this way. First of all, Boris Johnson lied about how much money the UK contributes to the EU. Said we give the EU £350 million a week. No, we don't. We never did. And he said that he would spend that inflated sum of money on the NHS. Well, he didn't. He's actually spending less money on the NHS now. But he also said that he would match EU development funding. So where did people think the money was coming from? You know, he was promising to spend the EU membership fees, which he already inflated, twice on two different things. Should people really be surprised that someone who promises to spend the same pot of money on two different things actually spends it on neither? Not that there are any membership fees saved to spend on anything. You know, the thing about leaving the EU is that it's shrinking our economy. A smaller economy means, well, lower tax receipts, which means less government spending anyway. This is why our membership fee was such a bargain. We got way more back than we paid in just in trade alone. But never mind that. It's all by the by. The bottom line is that Johnson is not keeping his promise. Again. But although our economy is going to shrink as a result of Brexit, we already know that it's not the shrinking as fast as, say, the pandemic did last year. We know it's more of a slow burner. It will take years for the full effects to materialise. We've seen many of them now, but it will be years before the gap widens. What I'm basically saying is, in the here and now, the government still, in theory, has the money to allocate. In fact, the government are trying to talk up the economy right now. Because they completely tanked it last year with a deeper recession than any other advanced economy in the world, our bounce back is, as a percentage, looking quite good. I mean, it's not, because percentages on their own could be misleading. Like, if you have two people, for example, they've both got £1,000 in savings, say. That's their wealth. Then one of them loses £100 and the other one loses £500. Well, which one did better? Well, the one who only lost £100. They've got £900 now. But if they then, in the next period of time, both find or make £50 each, the one who lost £100, they've grown their wealth by like 5.6%. Marvellous. But the one who lost £500 has grown their wealth by 10%. Well, that looks like their growth is better. But they've still lost more money overall. They've still lost a net total of £450. The other one's lost a total of £50. And they've still got less money because they've now got £550 and the other one with the smaller percentage growth has got £950 when they were equal at the start. Fiddling stats chapter 1, really. But the point is that the government and Brexiteers are trying to say that our economy is doing really well, that we've recovered back to our pre-Brexit status. Okay, fine. Yeah, so you're saying that the economy is doing well after Brexit. Okay, let's go with that. It's not true, but never mind. We'll go with it. Where's the money then? What? The EU used to provide between about £5 and £6 billion to the UK on an annual basis. Why isn't Boris Johnson providing that money now that we've left? Huh? Where's the money? Well, there's a development fund. He's announced a development fund. Yes, £220 million. The EU gave us over £5 billion. There's no answer to that. The usual answer to why the government is cutting funding on anything is to bang on about there's no magic money trees and how we're all skint and how somehow it's Labour's fault, even though they've been in power for over a decade. But if they want to say that the economy is doing well, they can't use that defence. So either they have knackered our economy and that's why the money isn't there, in which case we want to ask, why did you knacker our economy? Or they didn't knacker our economy, but they are spending that money on the rich whilst depriving the poor. Because this is how Brexit is going to widen the gap between rich and poor. Billions of EU funding used to be used to develop the poorest regions of the UK. Thus going some small way towards trying to close that gap. Yes, I mean, don't get me wrong. The people in power here still allocated the finer details of the funding, and I'm quite sure you could make arguments that it wasn't always spent in the best way possible in terms of tackling poverty and so on. But the bottom line was that billions of pounds was allocated to poorer regions of the country, and those funds have now stopped. The UK government isn't compensating those regions for that loss of EU funding. So even if not enough of it trickled down, none of it's got, the trickle has stopped. It's not even that the funding is still there and is just being spent differently. It's not there at all. There's no sign of it, which means that it's somewhere else. That somewhere else is on Tory donors, friends, those within the party, ministers, councillors, local pub landlords. Just more Tory corruption, really. But this needs highlighting, I think, to people, especially in those Brexit voting areas that the Conservatives took hostage in 2019. Absolutely vital that the broken promises are exposed in these places. It would be incredibly powerful. Because that's really how to beat the Tories. See, other parties can talk all they like about their plans to improve the NHS, law and order, education and so on. The Conservatives will just always promise to do more and better. And they're always lies. They never deliver. But they make those promises. And for voters who believe the promises, I don't know what it is. Maybe in their head they think, well, they're not allowed to lie. This is like an election. They've written it down. It can't be a lie. So for those who voters, for whatever reason, believe the promises, they will vote for what sounds like the best deal. Oh, Labour say they're going to do this, but the Conservatives say they're going to do this. Oh, that's much better. We'll vote for that. Make sure that they know that Tory promises are not worth the shiny paper they are printed on, and you break that power. So I would basically urge people in these red wall seats that flip to the Tories, more than in any other seat, to write to their new Conservative MP. Ask them where the money's gone. Ask them where the billions of pounds worth of EU development funding has gone. Ask them why the government isn't at least matching that figure. Ask them what it's been spent on instead, especially if you're in an area that used to receive a fair amount of this funding. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, don't forget to click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, please also click the Patreon link for details. And until next time, I'll see you later.